Hey there, friends. Why not take the time this week to come back to Facebook? It's been pretty quiet around here late. Lots of you running off to try the likes of Mastodon, Blue Sky, and the like. Well, we've got all your favorites and more. Do you want creepy ads for things you only just thought about because we're rinsing your personal information so hard we know what you want before you do? Tired of your friends waffling on about nothing important or marketable? We've removed all your friends and replaced them with more ads. Yeah, we've still got a comprehensive list of their birthdays and so many irrelevant push notifications that you'll never be able to close them all fast enough to clear them. But just scroll through all these ads in an app that almost but not quite entirely looks unlike the thing you signed up to a decade ago. Oh, and Reels. We've got Reels now, so if you want to see a 6-month-old TikTok that's been re-uploaded today and probably has like a 5-minute crafts video playing at the bottom of it, then come on back to Facebook. Come on, guys. Please. Oh. Greetings, strangers queer and pleasant. I'm not Laura Kate Magnetdale.
And I'm not Jane Harris Magnetdale. And welcome to another episode of Queer and Pleasant Strangers.
It's us.
It's us. It's a podcast. We're two queer trans women. We're wifey types. We talk about stuff we've consumed media-wise in the week.
Om nom nom, tasty media.
Om nom nom, how you doing this week?
I'm a sleepy little bean with a very bruised knee.
We went and we were outside.
We were outside.
Which will have an impact on the kind of media we consumed in the week, because we were outside for a lot of the week.
Mm-hmm.
And you did trip over a guide wire and go knee first into a metal pole.
Yep.
And you've got a poorly knee now.
I do have a poorly knee now.
But we still consumed some media this week.
Om nom nom, tasty media. Tell us the thing you played.
What are things I've played this week? I've started playing around with Nintendo World Championships NES Edition on the Switch. Which,
yeah, this was sort of on the last Nintendo Direct thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, so this is a collection of short speedrunning challenges based on a bunch of old NES games that have a speedrun online competition-y component to them. So the gist is, let's say there's like, a dozen or so games, and like, we start with the original Super Mario. Maybe it's how quickly can you get from the start of World 1-1 and collect a mushroom. And you try it over and over again in very quick reloads, and you're trying to beat your own high score, and you get a little like a letter ranking for how well you've done, and you get coins that you use to unlock the next challenge that will be something slightly more tricky and difficult to do.
Right.
And a lot of the game is just solo high score chasing.
Right.
Eventually, when you get to the harder challenges, the game will start, and this is one of the more interesting things it does. Like, the expert level challenges, it will give you like a Nintendo Power Magazine style tips and tricks. Here are some things that might help you be better at speedrunning this challenge.
Okay, that's cute.
Illustrated thing, and I'm like, that's pretty neat. The problem, really, with it is the lack of, like, online leaderboards. Because there's a few, like, very basic things that if any company but Nintendo had made this, I think would have been there. Like, look at your time for this one challenge compared to the global leaderboards of everyone playing this game.
Yeah.
Or look at your time compared to your friends list and, have a little number next to you that's like, here's what position on your friend list you are for this challenge.
Yeah, and I feel like even Nintendo might have done that a decade ago.
They've not done that. What they have done is they have, like, a weekly challenge, and they'll pick, like, there's an easier challenge and a harder challenge, and each of them is, like, 5 of the individual challenges from across the various games. And they'll go, this week, this is your easy challenge, this is your hard challenge. You go, register times in those levels, your best time you've set just like in single player doing that level doesn't automatically carry over, so you have to do your best time again during that week in this special section.
Right.
And it seems like the intention, because I've not actually seen the end of a week yet, is that at the end of a week you'll get told like your global ranking just for those challenges. Like, how did you do compared to the rest of the world at this little bundle of challenges that was this week's one? It's not bad. Like, none of the challenges are like unenjoyable. It is an interesting way to encourage engaging with these pieces of material, but it lacks some of the features that would really get a person high score chasing naturally within the game. And honestly, my feeling having come away from it is I kind of just wish that they'd re-released the first two NES remixes from the Wii U on Switch, which if any of you haven't played those, they were similar in that they were bite-sized chunks of NES games, but the gimmick was that they would do weird things with them, and you had to do challenges while weird stuff was going on. So it might be like complete World 1-1 of Mario while everything has ice physics, or complete this challenge in Kirby while Kirby is changing transformation forms every 5 seconds randomly. Like, silly little weird things that changed up how those basic games played.
Yeah.
Because I think the idea of a game that is teaching you to speedrun in isolation, even if it didn't have the leaderboard stuff, wouldn't be bad if it was trying to teach you, like, say, a full game speedrun.
Yeah.
And, like, you could string these challenges together and walk away with, I could probably tackle a speedrun of this game, you know, generally having done this. And it's not complete enough for that. And it's not giving you enough tools in-game to keep you high score chasing beyond, I beat my own high score enough that I got an S rank. Like, I don't know how much higher I could go than this, but I got an S, so I guess I did it.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's a game that feels very Nintendo in that it could have been more than it was, and kind of falls short of its own potential a little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds just a bit disappointing. Like, there seems like there so many things they could have done, and at the same time, it also feels like they've gone slightly harder than the like WarioWare kept using like old Nintendo asset bits.
Yeah,
for levels.
But that's again, like, WarioWare did quick little micro silly things with them. It did unique stuff with them.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It feels like they've sort of half-assed that idea. It's like, people love this in WarioWare. They love the nostalgia factor.
Yeah.
But they've just not done enough with it here.
It's a weird one. I'm sure there are people who'll enjoy it. It's just very limited appeal for me. I enjoyed it for a couple of hours and then went, I have no desire to come back to this.
Well, I have seen everything I need from there.
Basically.
It's got the built-in rewind function, I noticed.
No.
Was that restart? I noticed you were doing a couple of...
So, if you die during a level, it will rewind you a few seconds. You don't control how far it rewinds, but the timer keeps going forward. So you're not going to get a good time if that happens, but what you can do is very quickly exit the level and then very quickly re-enter the level.
Right.
You can just exit and re-enter the level and the loads are pretty fast. But yeah, that's that. What about you? What have you played this week?
That's a shame. Well, I've not really had a chance to play much because we've not been here and I've not been near computers, or I've been getting ready to go away, so...
Yeah.
I did spend about 3 days on and off, barring the rain, doing lots of poi.
You did. I did a little bit of spinny things too.
Did a little bit of spinny things too.
Yeah.
So I showed probably about 3 different people how to do some poi stuff. I started with a 3-beat Wii for all 3 of you.
I think we've talked about poi before. It's a sort of string thing with an object on the end. You spin it around.
It's a weight on a string. It originally comes from the Maori of Aotearoa. It was used for all sorts of things. Lots of people have asked for clarification about whether or not it counts as any kind of appropriation, and no one's been willing to answer that. From the Maori, because it's one of those, you could ask anyone, and someone might have one idea and someone might have another idea, but as a society, no one wants to make a decision on how they feel about that. There are plenty of things they do feel very strong about, but boy isn't apparently one of them. But it is a fascinating thing to learn a lot of history about from traditional stuff. But way back, I believe it was sometime around the 90s, it started getting picked up in like the club scene as a flow art, much like staff spinning or rope dart, cobra dart, that sort of thing. Levy wand, which was originally a magic trick. That sort of things. And there are a whole bunch of moves for various dance tricks, and one of the ones most people want to learn first is the 3-beat weave. I definitely don't think it is the best thing for people to learn. You do, with one hand, you do 2 spins on the opposite side and 1 spin on the correct side.
Yeah.
So you're basically doing 3 complete spins around you.
Yeah, a sort of forward, back, across.
Yeah, so above one arm, below one arm, and across you. And then the opposite with the other hand. So you are doing basically a constant set of 3 reels around you. And it's very cool. And it's not a particularly easy thing to learn early. And there are probably loads of things you probably should learn beforehand. But I have at least managed to teach 3 people the principles. 2 people have largely got it down, and they seem to be into it enough that they are willing to keep trying and doing their own thing, which has been good because I've also managed to start teaching a couple of people butterfly as well, which is where you're moving both balls in opposite circles at the same time. So they come together and in front of you, basically with both hands together, or as close together as you can.
Yeah.
And they are moving. It looks like little butterfly wings. It's very cute.
Yeah.
And starting to learn a few other things. You had a little go.
I had a little go. I sort of flailed in the direction of things.
You were struggling a little bit with the basics, and then we handed you a spinning cloth or a spinning star.
Yeah.
Which is basically a 8-pointed star or 2 squares overlaid of like a soft fabric, and then it's stitched with like canvas along the edges of what would be each of those squares. It gives just a little bit of rigidity.
Yeah, it's just a little weighted on the outside, so it has a bit of momentum as it spins, and I was doing my best to do some of the Poi-esque stuff with that, because the problem with Poi is as soon as my hands have to be doing different things to each other, my brain's like, can't coordinate 2 actions at once, no siree. But you give me a pointed cloth where I can like hold 2 points and my hands are sort of going in motion with each other, I'm like, yeah, I can sort of do that.
I can sort of do that, and you were getting things that you had struggled with while holding Poi.
Yeah.
To the point where I was like, can you hold my Poi? I'm running to the toilet, and I came back and you were like, I've almost done a 3-beat weave.
I sort of got in the vicinity of a 3-beat weave for a sec.
By virtue of having been, having spent some time...
essentially doing 2-beat weaves with a little blanket.
Yeah, you got the ideas. It's all in there, and it's just... I think you're going to be very much like me. You're going to get told a thing, and then you're going to go away and you're going to practice it on your own.
Yeah.
Because for all the, no, you do it like this, all those things are sinking into your brain.
Yes.
You've heard the instructions, but...
I know the instructions. What I need is 0 judgment while I do it wrong over and over and over until something changes and I do it right.
Yeah, basically.
And then I can be like, don't know what changed in my brain that let me start doing the thing I knew in theory how to do, but I did it.
Well, I learnt today that there is such a thing as a 4-beat weave that you can only do with 2 people. So if you learn how to do a 3-beat weave, I might be able to one day work that out between the 2 of us as a thing we could do together.
Oh.
You basically like reach into somebody else's weave and add an opposite spin for them.
Oh.
So you're moving slightly in sequence.
Oh, that's a lot.
It probably is. And probably going to take a while to get there, but I thought it was a fascinating idea. Yeah, we did that. We did a load of those things. I am still futzing around with my flower stick. Mm-hmm. Spent some time on Sunday evening because I was a bit sleepy at that point. And also a little bit cold and damp because it had been raining a lot.
Yeah.
And I just sort of took some time out to do some like contact spinning with it.
Yeah.
Because I see people doing like body rolls and things with it occasionally, and I thought that would be nice to give it a try and do some like just contact stuff where, like, you're not really holding anything, but, like, spinning it across the back of my hand and, like, using my knuckles to keep it moving without too much fingery involvement. Yeah, it was fun. I futzed around with my, set length poi, not the stretchy ones. Some stretchy ones. I started learning a 5-beat weave reverse.
You did?
I can do it forward. I'm really struggling to do it backwards, but I have got some new exercises to practice because I looked it up on YouTube today. So eventually I will hopefully be able to get that working.
Ooh.
But it's been fun getting some flow art stuff done. I got my staff out at one point.
You did.
And almost as soon as I got it out, someone went, "Hey, will you teach me something with poi?"
Yeah.
And I put it down and I forgot to pick it up again all weekend.
Oopsie.
And there was me going, I'm in a field, this will be great. It'll be the perfect chance to get my stuff out, which I can't really do at home.
Yeah.
But anyway, had a lovely time. Had a lovely time spinning with other people. And occasionally someone would run up to me and go, "That move you just did, show how to do this."
Yeah.
And it's nice to be able to share that sort of stuff. Especially when I think most of the stuff I do is pretty basic. So it's nice to find something that someone's like, that was impressive. Please show how. And then we spread the poi love. Yeah. What about you? Have you played anything else?
I played a short and weird, interesting little thing this past week. I played a game called Clickolding.
You did.
Indeed, which it sure is a game. It sure is a game.
Yes.
So this is a game by Xavier Nelson, who is the person behind Life Eater, which was that game I played a little while ago about doing ritual sacrifice murders to stop the end of the world.
Yeah.
He's done such games as An Airport for Aliens, currently run by dogs.
Mm-hmm.
And this new game, you play as someone who is in a hotel room, and in a chair in the corner of the hotel room is a man wearing
horse mask?
a horse mask, a kind of a rubber horse mask looking thing, who's basically goes, "Hey, I heard you need $14,000 for surgery. Here's a clicker. Just start clicking it, and it goes up to 10,000, and then it rolls back around to 0. And I will give you this money when you have clicked it 10,000 times." And he will start giving you instructions about how he wants you to rhythmically click this clicker while alone in a hotel room while he watches from the corner. And you can sort of see where this is maybe going a little bit. To give you a sense of what's going on, one of the first things he asks you to do is, can you go open the window and click by the window so I can see whether I like the thrill of you maybe being seen clicking? He will comment on the speed or steadiness of your clicking. And it is a game in which you click 10,000 times and occasionally walk around a room following instructions while having conversations with a man who very clearly is a bit embarrassed about the fact that he has set this situation up, and the power dynamic between a person who has a lot of money and a thing they really want to see happen, and a person who really needs money and is willing to do a thing they might otherwise not consider doing. And the dynamic that creates. It is maybe 30 or 40 minutes long. It is fascinating. It's very, very tensely written. It does a wonderful job of telling a concise story with a very limited amount of assets. It's literally just a horse guy, a clicker mechanic, and a single room. But it does a lot with that. And it is a game that, after finishing it, I sat there for a good 15 minutes just taking it in, and have been thinking about it pretty consistently since finishing it.
Okay.
It is short, cheap, memorable, definitely unique. Definitely nothing that quite compares to it. Like, the closest I could point it to is something like Robert Yang's work, who is...
that was my first thought when you talked about this. I was like, is this a Robert Yang game?
It's a little... So, for anyone who doesn't know Robert Yang is a creator that makes considerably shorter than this, usually like sub 5 minutes, games that are usually somewhat allegorical to gay sex. There's one, for example, where you are maybe doing a hand job on the gear stick of a car as it revs and goes faster as it approaches a sort of climax metaphor, for example. The difference, I think, is that Robert Yang's work is very, like, trying to make sexuality something fun to engage with, that's a little silly, that's not taking itself too seriously, that is demystifying specifically queer romance. This is much more, sure, it is quite clearly a mechanical, metaphorical allegory for something sexual, but it lingers in it a lot more, and it is a lot more direct about the emotions involved and awkwardly sitting with the tension of the scene.
Yeah.
And the awkwardness that exists between someone who's embarrassed to have set a situation up and someone who is only there for the money. And the weird, both sides of this know what this is, but that isn't going to stop us seeing it through to completion. In a similar category to Robert Yang's stuff, but like very, like a cousin to Robert Yang's work, I think. But yeah, real interesting little game. I continue to be amazed by this developer's speed of releasing very interesting, weird little games. What about you? You played anything else this week?
Not really. Haven't had a huge amount of time. I have had a little bit more time with Morrowind, but I don't have anything else to say about it.
Yeah.
As yet.
I've not really played anything else either. It was not that kind of a week.
It wasn't.
No. Well then, time for this.
Do you need ADHD meds?
Yeah.
Are you being affected by the current shortages?
Yeah.
Sick of taking your prescription to every pharmacy within 10 miles of your home and have to get the stink eye from everyone who sees what you want because they're needlessly judgy?
Yeah.
Worry not. MedAlert will search the whole country for stocks of your meds and let you know the nearest option.
Wow, there's one whole packet of 18 milligram tablets at a Day Lewis in Northumberland. Oh, sorry, wait, okay, they just sold it.
So try our app today, right now, because you're unmedicated and you will definitely forget if you so much as go to put the kettle on.
Forget what?
MedAlert. Do you need ADHD meds?
Yeah.
Has this ever happened to you? You're dancing away at a club and some rando has decided that you're a trans person. They suddenly want to tell you, a total stranger, that they're cool with you because they're dating a trans person whom they immediately point out to you. You probably wanted to give them a gold star, maybe a pat on the head, or leap onto the club PA system so you could let everyone you know that you've met the very best of allies, right? Well, Gold Star Allies is the service for you. We'll take them away in our van of understanding and gently explain that you can't just assume someone's gender or trans status, and definitely can't go around outing their new partner to randos in order to win ally points. Gold Star Allies, we're here to educate, so you don't have to.
So, what have you put in your eyes?
I've got a couple of things in my eyes this week. I went to the cinema a couple of times and saw a couple of films. I went and saw Despicable Me 4, despite I don't think ever seeing a Despicable Me film previously start to finish.
Okay.
I knew enough to vaguely understand the concept. There's a guy called Gru, he's got minions. He was a villain. At some point he stopped being a villain and started hunting villains, and he has some kids. That's really all I knew going in, and I didn't need to know more than that going in.
No.
The gist of this one is, Gru goes to stop a villain, but that villain breaks out of jail. He's going to go into witness protection now and go pretend not to be an ex-supervillain in a fancy community somewhere where he's going to stand out a bit.
Uh-huh.
I have a couple of thoughts about this film. I don't know that I've seen a film, maybe ever, that has felt so much in its structure like it is a series of a TV show.
Right.
In that it was a collection of scenes that sure were building up to a larger narrative, but they were all self-contained 10-minute scenes that could have relatively stood on their own And, like, you could take any one of these and put it as a clip by itself.
Right.
And it would exist as its own little mini thing.
Is this another one of these shows that was originally supposed to be a TV show?
I don't know if that's the
movie?
case, but, like, having heard that that's what's happening with Moana 2, is that Moana 2 was a series and is being made into a film, watching this, I was like, I wouldn't be shocked if you told me that's what this was.
Mm.
It was well paced in as much as the ADHD was well entertained with very quick. We're gonna throw a lot of jokes at you, and if a joke doesn't land, don't worry. There's gonna be another one in like 3 fucking seconds.
Right.
No downtime, no slowdown. We've got a million places to be, and sometimes going and seeing an animated film like that while, you know, not medicated for your ADHD is, you know, not a bad experience.
Yeah.
It is a film that feels, in many ways, built around its trailer. There's a lot of things in in this film that I had seen in trailers that were technically in the film, but they were incredibly small parts of the film that weren't really a thing that, like, if I'd seen this film, I wouldn't have said, yeah, you can market the film around the presence of that very short scene.
Right.
But, you know, they put a small scene in so they could pretend that was a big part of the film to market it, sort of things.
Okay.
It is a weird, it's a strange prospect. It's kind of sweet. It's kind of funny. I didn't have a bad time watching it.
Do you feel compelled to start posting boomer memes now?
Yeah, look, before you know it, I'm gonna be posting a minion dressed up as Baby Yoda saying, "Banana?" ? And I'll be like, so relatable. It's gonna be me before you know it.
Well.
Should I talk about the other film I saw that same day at the cinema? Yes, tell us about the
Longlegs.
Yeah, so I saw a horror film called Longlegs that came out recently, and that film is real interesting, but complicated to talk about. So, Longlegs is a horror film starring Nicolas Cage about an FBI agent with supernatural abilities when it comes to crime solving.
Right, so you can go to super hell.
Who is trying to solve a slightly demonic series of murders that happened at some point. And the gist of these murders and what makes them all similar is the dad always murders the kids and then themselves. One of the kids is 9 years old. There's no evidence that anyone else has been in the home, but there is a letter written in the handwriting of no one in the family that is signed Longlegs.
Right.
And it is a sort of detective thriller of trying to solve this weird occult murder or series of murders that has gone on, that seems to involve this perhaps supernatural figure, Longlegs. And there's a lot of things about it I liked. Even if some of the plot threads were a little predictable, the execution of them was such that I really didn't mind. They delivered the pacing of those payoffs really well. The performances, a lot of the specifics of how the reveals came around meant that even if I'd gotten the broad strokes of where something was going, there was still stuff to surprise me in those reveals, which is pretty nice. Yeah. I think that the overall explanation of the seemingly supernatural stuff going on was pretty satisfying, which is always nice. There's always a risk when you're dabbling in supernatural elements in a crime thriller that if they try and explain those supernatural elements, it will in some way lessen the fear of them or rob something of the solvability of the mystery.
Right.
And this avoids both of those.
Good.
I think that Nicolas Cage does a great job in the role that he plays. I'm gonna try and explain a thing I've been trying to put words to since I saw it that I have complicated thoughts about. And it is... While I think Nicolas Cage's performance in this is really well done, in as much as Nicolas Cage is almost unrecognisable, both physically and in terms of vocal performance mannerisms, does a very good job of transforming his presentation in a way that is, like, very impressive. And he definitely does achieve a very unsettling air about him that is played very well and works for the plot points that exist.
Right.
While I was watching it, I had a weird, uncomfortable feeling that I wasn't sure if there was nothing to or not. While the plot of the film itself clearly isn't about this, it is, without saying what the sort of metaphors at play are, some of the ways that Nicolas Cage plays the sort of antagonist in this feel similar to, like, 80s portrayals of your Hannibal Lecter.
We're talking mental health concerns.
We're talking mental health concerns, but also playing around in, like, not explicitly trans characters, but mannerisms that feel like they're trans caricatures a little.
Your Buffalo Bill
Your
type stuff?
Buffalo Bill type stuff.
Okay.
And, like, canonically in the narrative what's going on is that this character was at one point a glam rocker, and that's where some of this presentation stuff comes from. But while watching it, I went, I know that narratively that's not what they're going for. They're not trying to go, the monster is trans people.
Yeah.
But you are, like, pulling on a lot of threads of ways that gender as scary monster murder villain has been used in the past. You're playing around in very similar space.
Like, almost using the tropes without using it to mean, strictly speaking, what it meant previously.
It's using male character that is feminine, is a little feminine while unsettling, to sort of go, doesn't that make them more unsettling? And at first I thought maybe I was overthinking and it was, I shouldn't think anything of it. And then I went and looked up some interviews, and Buffalo Bill was an explicit reference point. And I was like,
yikes.
because look, very explicitly, like, the metaphor being drawn is very much not that. It is, like, the narrative is very clearly not anti-trans people.
Right.
That is not what the scary monster situation is. But it's pulled on some representations of how to make a masculine person scary as a killer that are like, feels tropey in a way that didn't ruin the film for me. I still think it's a fantastic film, but that in a way where I'm like, I'm glad my radar wasn't getting Buffalo Bill vibes out of nowhere.
Right.
And it's one of those choices where I'm like, I don't think it was necessary, while still going, I can really respect quite how much you transformed yourself as an actor in a way that, like, I would have struggled to recognize you. I still think it is a really interesting film. I think it is worth seeing, but I wanted to try and verbalize that because it was a little thought in my head at the time that apparently there was something to.
Yeah.
What about you? You watched anything this week?
I've not really had a chance. I mean, I've watched some live acts, and I've seen some beautiful art, but I couldn't really tell you an awful lot about that. We'll talk about the music side of things as far as when we come to the listen section. But I have watched lots of people doing dragon stuff, lots of people spinning various things up in the air very beautifully. We've also been watching all the latest Dropout stuff, so we're up to date on Make Some Noise, Thousand Airs, Smarty Pants Society. Those are all shows doing really well, and I am glad to see that the new stuff like Smarty Pants Society on Dropout are doing so well and are being so popular. Tell you what we haven't watched. We haven't watched any more Star Wars Acolyte.
No, we need to get back to it.
I hear it's finished, and I hear people weren't that impressed with it.
I've heard people who really liked it, and I've heard people who really didn't get on with it. I want to finish it. I want to see where it's going, but yeah.
Maybe we'll get there.
Well, I think that's everything I've watched this week.
Well then.
Time for this.
Hey Laura.
Yes?
We've got a new sponsor.
Who's our new sponsor?
Well, do you sometimes, occasionally, go out to, like, a festival or some sort of outdoor event?
Oh, on occasion.
And maybe that outdoor event has, like, a fence around it that you're not allowed to leave
Yeah.
and return through?
Yeah, so I've either, I'm just stuck with what happens to be there, yeah.
Or what you brought with you.
Or what I brought with me, yeah.
Indeed. And at those times, do you occasionally find yourself going, I require greasy protein in some sort of carb?
Yeah, I could really go for like a good sausage bap or a burger or something. Just like, I'm craving a specific thing.
Well, boy, howdy, do I have the sponsor for you. This week's sponsor is adequateburger.lol.net.
Oh.
They are the providers of some of the most middling, overpriced burgers. They don't make good burgers. But if you're drunk at 3 a.m. or otherwise inebriated at 3 a.m. and your tumbly has the rumbly,
yeah,
and it's maybe been raining all day, and what you need is just a comfort.
Yeah.
I just need a little comfort, just a little comfort. It doesn't have to be, I'm not looking for, a gourmet experience. I need a carb in surrounding a protein super play with some ketchup on it and grease, natch. Well, pretty adequate burger.lol.net. They can get you close enough to what you're craving. Not quite there, but they can get you close enough that it will file the edge off until, you're home or passing a better burger supplier.
Yeah, no, I'm trying the one they sent over, and it's weirdly not greasy enough.
Oh.
Like, the bread is bigger than the burger. And the burger is, like, more like actual meat than I was anticipating. I was expecting something
like some rusk and lots of filler.
I was expecting something I was hoping for something a bit more like, a little bit more trash than this.
Yeah.
And it is technically warm meat bread.
It is warm meat bread.
It's warm meat bread.
Yeah.
I can't complain that much.
They sent me the vegan version.
Yeah.
It's just bread and ketchup. So I don't think for me that's going to win, but your one seems pretty adequate.
It sure has meat-esque mush within it.
Yeah.
It will suffice.
So that's adequateburger.lol.net. Hire them for your music festival or lock-in event, if no one else is available. Inside the boardroom of Supremacy Software.
Hi. So, we got a problem.
Remember when we just used to get bonuses and, occasional profits and bonuses and, payouts?
Look, I think we're still going to get those, but we're going to have to... I've been working on something, so...
right, okay.
The dreaded U word has been floating around the office again.
Unity Engine?
No.
Right.
No.
Because I ain't paying for that.
No, union.
Right.
Yeah, people have been talking about unionizing.
Right. Okay.
And look, we love a good bit of union busting. We love it. We love it. But, the regulators have been breathing down our neck recently after all those acquisitions, and if we are seen to be union busting, we might get in trouble.
Yeah.
So I've been working on a plan.
Right.
I've been working on a plan on how we can union bust.
Right.
With plausible deniability.
I love the sound of this. Go.
So,
Fill me in.
We're developing a new video game.
Right.
In this video game, the villain is a union. And,
of course. They are the most villainous.
Yeah, the hero is a union buster who has to go around spreading, I want to say anti-union propaganda, but let's say good wholesome talking points designed to save workers from the evil tyranny of unions.
Well, of course.
And the entire game is just chock full of, our protagonist talking about all the reasons it would be bad for a hypothetical union to form.
Yeah.
Because my thinking is, all of our devs are going to have to work on that game all day, every day. Like, we can't directly union bust them without getting in trouble, but how could the regulators get mad at us for deciding for completely unrelated reasons to make a game about union busting.
Right.
That our developers have to sit all day playing, soaking in the anti-union propaganda.
Yeah, and we'll just keep sending them notes like, no, this is, a little bit too positive for the union, so we have to make it worse. We can have, like, a whole end screen where if the union somehow wins, there's just, like, lots of crying children sitting in the rubble of society, obviously after the unions have taken all the money, because that's all they do. They just take the money. They don't actually support anyone or help anyone, right?
Yeah.
And, and then obviously the other ending where everyone is happy. And by everyone, I mean us.
Well, yeah, but we'll make it look like the workers are happy,
Yeah, maybe we could, like, use the custom character that the people put in, and we'll do one of those things where we do, like, the genetic heritage thing. We did the whole you design your parents and you don't actually see your own face. How about we do that? But, we extrapolate that, and it makes it look like everyone at the end in the executive office looks like they're probably family of the character.
I see. Look, I reckon no one could complain about this. We're going to put the propaganda in and make money selling it. I think it's a genius idea, right?
You are a fucking genius.
I know.
So, what have you put in your ears?
Well, we listened to some music in a field.
We did.
Do we have note of what some of those bits of music, what we heard in a field were?
We do. We do have the things.
Yeah.
So, the first act we saw was called Shamanoid, who had listed as being, like, a little bit glitchy, a little bit breakbeat, some drum and bass. I was like, that sounds cool. And we got there, and it wasn't all that. You can tell why they were the first act on. Which was fine. Nice to get a bit of a warm up, and if nothing else, it was with lovely people.
Not as up tempo as you were sort of raring for.
Yeah, I was ready for something a little bit lively.
Bit of a stomp.
Bit of a stomp. Like, I was like, yeah, I am here, and all the people are here, and I want to stomp. And I think maybe the vibe they'd gone for is, yeah, but people are still pitching tents and stuff, and maybe we don't want to go.
Yeah, we got 3 days of this. Like, let's warm up gently. Let's not wear everyone out on day one.
Indeed. But the next day, we went and saw Trip Switch and BC.
Yes.
And they both did, like, lots of good... Well, again, we had a little bit of breakbeat, we had some drum and bass, we had lots and lots and lots of psytrance. Mm-hmm. And it was the first time all weekend where you had gone, yes, I've walked into this dance space and the DJ wasn't just finishing.
Yes, I had a habit of walking into the dance tent going, I like this DJ.
Just as
they were finishing and it was going back to the intermediate DJ, and I was like, okay. I was there for multiple back-to-back sets. I did several sets back-to-back at that point.
I very much enjoyed BC, I very much enjoyed Trip Switch. It was good, more upbeat, and I think everyone was getting way more in the vibe of having a bit of a wiggle together despite all of the bloody rain.
Yup.
It was fine. And then we also saw Mr. Trick's Sound System.
Yes.
Yeah, which was a little bit more upbeat, a little bit more lively. And, it was really, really nice to get dancing away, get lots of people. That was definitely way more crowded. Set.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the most crowded set of the entire weekend was Banco de Gaia.
Yeah.
And that was, again, very beautiful, very gentle, psytrance stuff that you could barely move for all the people gathered together to see that one. And it was a scorching set with a scorching bunch of people in a scorching tiny room. But yeah, it was lovely. A very, very beautiful end to a very nice weekend. And and I'm glad we got to have a dance and listen to lots of music and get active and in a field. I just wish it had been sunnier.
Right.
Yeah, we had a lovely time listening to all that.
We did.
I also listened. This came up on a TikTok. Mm-hmm. This came up on a TikTok.
I know what this is.
I was like, this cannot be real. Did you know Pitbull did a track with Dolly Parton?
I do, only because you told me about it.
So the track is called Powerful Women.
Yeah.
And is basically 9 to 5 with a bit of Pitbull over the top. I know nothing about Pitbull, apart from the fact that people used to take piss out of him being Mr. Worldwide.
Mr. Worldwide.
And that's literally all I know about Pibble. I don't know if he's a dick or what, but I enjoyed the slightly up-tempo version of 9 to 5, which is a cracking tune.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. Apart from that, we've caught up with the Magnus Protocol.
We have.
I completely forgot the hiatus had finished and was like, oh, there's 2 episodes, lovely. And yeah, we've been listening to that. It feels like it is very much building towards the end of the first season, which is appropriate because I think there's only like 7 or 8 episodes left now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an exciting series. I still haven't quite worked out who the big bad is. I suspect it's Inksol, but there seems to have been a lot of parties introduced as incredibly dangerous.
Yeah.
But maybe the real enemy is the government all along.
Ooh.
Which I can very much believe.
Yep.
Yeah, that show is fascinating. We've talked about this a few times already. It's about some people who work in a office for the government, and they log and categorize tales of horror found on the internet, found on people's recordings, found on people's voicemails.
Yeah. Here are files cataloguing weird shit that happened to people, listen to them read out by a computer, and then file them under subcategories.
And also there is a bizarre meta plot that's slightly more aggressive, I want to say, than how the Magnus Archive started, because it is sort of a spiritual sequel, sort of.
As I've said before, it's got a little bit of a vibe if they wanted to jump in to the level of metaplot that the Magnus Archives ended on.
Yeah,
and
the Adventure Zones Season 2.
The Adventure Zone Season 2 issue that has had a little bit of an issue on its pacing, but I'm enjoying it.
I'm really enjoying it, and I think the hiatuses have been good for getting a chance to sit down and like re-listen to the prior 10 episodes and get a vibe for how everything is going and try and remember everyone's bloody names.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of characters thrown at you at the beginning of this series, even though a bunch of them just kind of never get heard of again, as people are coming and going from the job. But yeah, I am absolutely fascinated to know where this series is going, and I guess we will find out in 7 or 8 episodes.
Yeah.
Have you listened to anything else?
I listened to a couple of things.
Yes.
I listened to Weird Al Yankovic has been putting out new music.
Oh yes, the new video's out, isn't it?
Yes, the one that I checked out is Polka Mania, which is his new medley of polka versions of a bunch of popular tracks of the last X number of years.
I have always loved Weird Al's polkas. They have been my favourite on every one of his albums.
It's been a while since he's done one, but he's got a good solid 6-minute polka medley that goes through a bunch of different tracks. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. His new polka one.
I think they said it was like a decade of music. That he kind of skips.
I think someone said it's been like 11 years since he's done one that was like pop, modern pop music. So the last couple he's done were like he did a Hamilton one, but he's not done one that's like popular current chart hits in, I think someone said 11 years.
Wow.
So yeah, it is good. It is worth checking out.
Yeah.
The only other
music video.
Yes. The only other thing I've listened to is I've been continuing to plough through listening to Welcome to Night Vale, the podcast that is radio show broadcasts from a strange desert otherworld. I am 120 episodes in. I am at the point now where it has swapped to regularly doing 3-episode long mini arcs, which is an awkward length for me because usually I listen while swimming, and swimming is the right length for 2 episodes, not 3. Oh, curse you. But some of those 3-episode arcs have been really nice. It's been a good length of story for them to be telling. There's been a couple of really good ones. There was one about a case of whiskey that contained the soul of Night Vale, and a quest running around town to stop a corporation drinking the town's soul. And
very important.
The way that resolved itself had the greatest punchline. I couldn't quite believe it, and it was very funny. I enjoyed it a lot. there was a pretty heartbreaking one recently I was listening to that was the story of two people who fall in love and start to realize that the universe is falling apart around them a little bit, and that there is a reason that they shouldn't be together, and a potential deal offered of what they can do about that. Beautifully written, some great choices of weather tracks during that arc, and a real fucking emotional gut punch of an ending. It is. As soon as it happened, I was broken. It was a lot. But yeah, those three-ish episode little mini arcs have been pretty good. The show feels like it's really gotten back into a good stride, where I'm at in it currently.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I've been listening to.
I just looked this up and I realised that Weird Al Yankovic's last final studio album was 2014.
Yeah. So yeah, about a decade ago.
Yeah. That was mandatory fun. I was like, no, I'm sure it was.
Was that would have been the one that had like aluminum foil?
That was the one that had foil and
that would be
Lane Claim to Fame.
That would be about a decade ago, wouldn't it?
And Handy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had not realised that it was quite that recent. And then I think the Hamilton Polka just came out as a separate thing after that.
Yeah. Well, that's everything I've listened to.
That's everything I've listened to.
Well then,
time for this.
Okay, hey boss.
Yes?
I fucked up a bit. Okay, more than a bit, quite a lot.
What have you done?
Quite fucking majorly.
Right. Is this going to cost me money?
Not if we can find a way to spin it.
Good.
So, I may have accidentally not noticed a damaged pipe that was leaking some sewage
Right.
directly into the flavour vat for the Chewy Sweet production line.
Right.
And
You've boiled it since, though, right?
No,
Right.
they taste like literal sewage.
Right.
Which is not traditionally a desirable flavour, I understand.
No.
And it's been going for several hours before we noticed, so there's
Right.
considerable numbers of them that are like this.
Right.
But
We're ruined.
no, I think I can save us. I think we can be fine. If we can print off a fresh run of packaging.
Right. Sounds expensive.
Okay, we can charge a premium. You know how all the kids love eating stuff they shouldn't be eating in videos on the internet?
Well, like your tripods and such.
Yeah. Well, what
This
if...
is the Thames Water Chewy, is it?
Yeah, yes. We maybe tweak the name a little bit, but we allude to it. This is the...
Thames Water Taffy.
Thames Water Taffy, exactly. This is why you're the boss.
Yes.
Complete with real sewage flavors.
Yes.
And
one bit's got a golden toilet roll in it.
if you can chew a mouthful of them and not throw up,
Or get, E. coli.
you succeeded the challenge, and all your friends will do it too.
Right. Or also you could just trick your friends into eating it.
I mean that too. Throw one in your teacher's tea.
Okay.
Watch them throw up, and you go home early from school.
Make some fake ones, and we'll send them out to the influencers. They'll taste awful, but not as bad as the real thing, and then that's how okay. You're going on the TikTok shop. Get yourself a crew together, and you'll have a bunch of these to eat, and that'll be the challenge.
Okay.
That's a reward for this. But I think yes, if you survive, you can keep your job.
Thanks, boss.
And you're also gonna have to mop up all this shit.
Hippies aren't the most observant at the best of times, and even more so on day 3 of a music festival. That's why Clumso Hut make the kind of tents with guy ropes that remain sturdy in strong wind, but completely intangible when some cross-eyed crusty staggers past your temporary living space at 2 a.m. No more slips, trips, falls, or injuries that could spoil someone's weekend or lead to you getting an accidental nighttime visitor. Clumso Hut, because bloody hippies. Do you know what I want to see more of?
What do you want to see more of?
Social justice warriors.
Social justice warriors.
Yeah.
All right, Larry.
Right, Barry, how you doing?
Oh, bit sore, but, not too bad. You doing all right, mate?
Oh, I'm doing all right.
Yeah.
Saw the news at the weekend that Biden had dropped out of the presidential election in the States.
Yeah, it's a bit of a surprise.
I mean, it's a pretty big surprise given that, like, literally a week ago he was going like, well, if I lose the election to Trump, then I'll know that I did my best, and that's what matters, not whether the fascist gets back into power. I did my best is what will matter.
That's not what matters.
No, he really did not seem like he got the gist of it, but...
Well, seems to be a general fact with him recently, but...
I mean, with both of the candidates that were running honestly.
Well, yeah. But, hopefully this will help some of the disenfranchised people, because I know there were lots of groups that were saying, I cannot vote for Biden.
Indeed. I'll say this, for any problems I have with Biden, and I have a lot of them, I do respect him stepping down, because it's, is the thing. Generally speaking, I can see why you wouldn't want to step down, because, not only is being the president, probably, the most high-profile job prestigious job you can have in the country, but, when you're not Biden, if you just look broadly at statistics, sitting president going for re-election usually does pretty well, and I can see how he'd go, surely I did all right, and can ride that. It takes a lot of... It takes at least a little fucking bit of humility to go, maybe I'm not the best person to prevent the fascist right now. I will not just go for a second term because I'm expected to. I will let someone else who might have a better shot of stopping the fascist.
Yeah, I'm polling badly. I'm rated badly. Voting numbers are down in most demographics.
I'll maybe recognise that I am old and not in touch with what's going on, and should maybe let someone else have a go.
Well, some people can make the effort to keep in touch with what young people do need. Talk to these people and find out what they need.
I do not think that was Biden.
I do indeed. I agree. I don't think that was Biden. I don't think age necessarily is the problem. But when you also seem to have, had some issues with memory, certainly in recent speeches and rallies he's given, I understand that he was forgetting where he was or situations like that. And that is obviously more concerning. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely agree that I do think we need younger people in politics, younger people at the heights of power, because obviously young people as it is feel very disenfranchised by politics. So I think anything that can start to bring those ages down at least a little bit in the UK and America, I think that's quite important.
It's not a confirmed fact, but it seems pretty confident that he's going to be Kamala Harris is probably going to be the person running in his place, is his former VP, and I think there is something to be said for someone who is younger and more considerably more eloquent with talking points and knows how to argue a point and do the rhetoric a bit better than him is probably not going to hurt.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I don't really know much about her, but then I didn't really know much about Biden when he was the vice president, so it being US politics rather than UK politics, I tend to pay attention to who's on the top and just how fashy and imperialist they might be.
Well,
but the ones lower down tend to be a little bit off my radar. I'll be honest.
The main things to know about Kamala Harris, from my understanding, is she was a former she was a cop. She was a state prosecutor for a while.
Right, yeah.
So there's going to be some ACAB folks who are not going to be particularly happy about her selection. But she seems to be doing very well with the youth right now. She has capitalised on meme culture in a way that a lot of political candidates try to do and just completely miss the mark on.
Right, we're not talking about Swella Braverman talking about Ohio 4 Seasons or whatever the fuck it was.
No. This is genuinely, she seems to actually have a reasonable finger on the pulse of youth culture in a way that has not come across to the youth as cringy.
She's not sending anyone on to Pokemon Go to the polls.
No, she's not. No. But look, she's riding meme trends that I don't understand. But I've been reassured that like, oh no, people, your 18-year-olds are like, oh, that's pretty good actually.
Yeah, I saw a thing today saying that she was highly popular with women, with the non-white people, and with the 18 to 29-year-olds.
Indeed.
So, that is very promising, because I know that those are a lot of groups that had felt very disenfranchised.
Yeah.
Although I know that white women voted very highly during the last attempt to get Trump in, so...
Indeed, but...
hopefully women of colour will balance that out somehow.
Yeah, but I mean, the right-wingers who, on the Supreme Court getting rid of Roe v. Wade, I think very specifically if Harris, campaigns on trying to get abortion rights back, I think that will win over a lot of white women.
Yeah.
She's going to have some...
A lot of women in general, I would hope.
Yeah, but I mean, the white women are the ones that, she's going to have to work to get.
But I mean, the question now is how sexist/racist is America that they would, get over all that and vote for her.
That is part of the problem. There is going to be a lot of people who are maybe not ready to vote the first non-white woman into the presidency, but also, Biden got elected basically on the back of not being Trump.
Yeah.
There was no excitement.
That's just not enough this time.
There was no excitement for him other than he's not Trump.
Yeah.
Kamala Harris seems to actually have some enthusiasm behind her. She's going to have some awkward questions to answer, particularly with Palestine was a big sticking point for a lot of people on not voting for Biden, and she was his VP. She's going to have to answer for potential complicity in some of that stuff, but generally the vibe seems to be a lot more positive and optimistic on the left in the US than it has been in a while, and that is good, because right now I think that is what is needed, and it's what UK politics has needed for a while. Is a
Marty Black, please.
A left or at least left of centre politician that the left can get at least a little enthusiastic about. It's been a while, and fingers crossed she beats Trump, and then also does some actual stuff rather than just sitting around after that.
Yeah, absolutely. I was pointed today at a documentary about Kamala Harris that was made in 2020. So I'm going to give that a look and see what I can learn about her, and hopefully get a bit more educated about what's suddenly happened in US politics.
Yeah. From if nothing else, from what I've seen, she's got a pretty good track record on trans rights, and that is positive. It'd be nice to see some positive movement there.
Yeah.
If nothing else, good on Biden for fucking stepping down, I guess.
Yeah. If the best thing you can do is step aside, having the humility to do so is a good thing.
Indeed.
Yeah. Well, I wish everyone in America luck over the next few months, because frankly, I'm already terrified.
Indeed. Yeah.
Fancy hug, mate.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Good hug, mate.
Good hug.
Right, I think I'll go and pop the kettle on.
Nice.
So,
yes?
you do things, and those things are on the internet, and people would probably like to find them, so where could they find them?
You can find the stuff I do on the internet at Laura K. Buzz pretty much everywhere.
Yeah.
Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, Patreon, that's the one that pays the bills, Blue Sky, Mastodon, all the things. It's just Laura K. Buzz. Go to Laura K. Buzz, you'll find the stuff.
Yeah.
What about you?
Well, I do not have the unified branding, but I do have a Linktree. It's linktree.ee/Janiac, Janiac. You can find things I've watched and played and listened to, and no, that's here. That's where you can find those things. You can find the things that I have written, and the t-shirts I've designed, the music I've made, and all that other good stuff
And yeah, you can also find me on Humans Tolerant News, where I am a regular co-host. And we hang out and chat about whatever latest news stories that are either funny or interesting or just pleasant. Yeah, I do that with Lauren Yelling and go check it out. We've got a new episode. I would imagine at the time of recording this, it's probably up, and yeah, we had a lot of fun doing that. It was another excuse for me to do my Skeletor voice, and that's always fun. So Laura,
yes,
I think that was everything from me. Will you sing us out, please, darling?
Until next time, be a stranger.